Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
Hello.
We are so glad you're here today. We're going to unpack something really, really practical, genuinely helpful if you're planning any kind of travel, especially if you're going abroad.
hmm
We're diving into the essential English you need, specifically for getting around the airport.
That's right. And travel, it's one of the best things, isn't it? Seeing the world, different cultures.
Absolutely.
But yeah, sometimes just starting off, the airport part, that can feel like the first big hurdle, especially if English isn't your first language or you're just not feeling super confident.
Exactly. And look, the source material we're using for this deep dive, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's an ebook guide designed exactly for this building confidence by focusing just on the English you actually need for travel situations.
Right. It cuts through the noise and gets to the really key moments, the places where understanding clearly is, well, most important.
Totally. So what we want to do today, our sort of mission for this deep dive, is to take all this great info from the guide and really explore it together slowly.
Step by step.
Yeah, step by step. Instead of just, throwing a list of words at you, we want to walk through the whole airport experience. Introduce the English words and phrases you'll probably see on signs or hear people say.
And explain them simply, what they mean, why they matter right then and there.
Exactly. And how they all fit together to get you from, say, the entrance door to your plane seat. Think of it like we're giving you a guided tour of the airport, but focusing just on the language part.
So by the time we're done here, the goal is you'll feel, well, a lot more prepared, more confident stepping into that busy airport environment.
You'll have a clearer map, linguistically speaking, of what's going on around you.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The guide starts by talking about why knowing even simple travel English is so important. And this is a great place to start because it's not just about words.
No, it's about making the whole trip better. The core idea really is that language, even just a bit of a shared language like English, can really break down walls. Yeah, those feelings of confusion, maybe stress that can come up when you can't communicate easily. Travel's amazing, but language barriers can definitely add friction. This guide helps smooth that out.
Okay, so the guide mentions a few key benefits. Let's break those down simply.
hmm
First up, communication. What does that actually mean, like in a practical airport sense?
Well, simply put, it means being able to talk to the people you need to talk to.
Right.
So an airport, that's usually the staff, the person checking you in, maybe a security officer, the people at the gate, flight attendants later on.
And maybe other travelers too.
Yeah, it could be, but mainly the staff. Communication here means that basic interaction.
Okay, give me a really simple example, like super basic.
Okay, you need to find the toilet, the bathroom. If you can just ask someone, bathroom, maybe point. Or if someone tells you, it's over there, and points, and you understand, that's communication. Or you hear an announcement, gate 10 this way, and you know which way to go. It's that simple back and forth. Asking for directions, understanding instructions, stuff that helps you just get around.
That makes perfect sense. Just a few keywords can unlock those basic interactions. Okay, benefit number 2 the guide mentions is the overall travel experience. It says, knowing some English helps you enjoy the cultural, gastronomic, and tourist experiences better. How does airport English connect to that? Seems a bit early.
Well, you'd be surprised. It actually starts right there in the terminal. Airports aren't just transport hubs anymore. They often have elements of the local culture. Like maybe you see a sign in English advertising a local specialty food in one of the airport restaurants. Understanding that sign might lead you to try something new, get a little taste of the place before you even leave the building.
Okay, I see.
Or you might understand an announcement about, say, the express train into the city. That helps you plan your onward journey better. Maybe you understand directions to the tourist information desk in the airport.
Right, where you can get maps and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. So even simple English understanding at the airport can connect you more. Right from the start, it helps you notice things, understand opportunities around you, interact a little bit more with the place you've just landed in or are about to depart from.
Okay, that clicks. It helps you engage sooner. Now the third benefit, safety. This feels really, really important in a place like an airport. How does simple English help here?
Hugely important. Airports and planes, they run on procedures and safety rules. The guide points out understanding instructions and important signs. Think about it, emergency signs, announcements.
They're often in English, especially internationally.
Exactly. So knowing what emergency exit means is pretty vital, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Or if there's an unusual situation, maybe an evacuation or a delay on the tarmac, understanding instructions from staff, simple things like remain seated, follow me, wait here, that's crucial for staying safe and knowing what's going on.
Yeah, you need to know what to do or what not to do.
Right. And on the plane, the safety briefing the flight attendants give, understanding key phrases like fasten seatbelt, life vest, oxygen mask, it's all part of being prepared. Simple English understanding is directly linked to your safety in these environments.
Yeah, okay, that's a really strong point.
Right.
Safety is paramount.
Mhm.
And the fourth benefit the guide highlights is problem solving. Because, yeah, travel isn't always smooth sailing.
No, sometimes things go wrong. Maybe your flight gets canceled, your luggage gets lost, you lose your passport. Maybe you even feel unwell.
Oh gosh, yeah.
In those moments, being able to explain the problem, even simply, makes a massive difference, and understanding the questions people ask you to try and help.
Hey, give me a simple airport example of solving a problem with basic English.
All right. Let's say your big suitcase, your checked bag, doesn't show up on the baggage carousel after you land.
Nightmare scenario.
Right. You need to go to the baggage help desk. You need to be able to say something like, my bag missing or
Mhm.
lost luggage.
Okay, simple.
And then the staff might ask you simple questions like flight number or bag color or describe bag. Understanding those questions helps them help you.
Yeah, you can't get help if you can't communicate the problem.
Exactly. Or if you suddenly feel really sick, being able to find someone and say, need doctor or feel sick is essential. Basic English can be a real lifeline when you need help urgently. So if you put all that together, the guide's point is clear. Learning some essential airport English isn't just about, vocabulary lists.
Right.
It's a practical tool. It helps you talk to people you need to talk to. It lets you engage more with your surroundings, enjoy the trip more from the start. It keeps you safer because you understand instructions, and it helps you fix things when they go wrong.
It really smooths out the whole process, right from step one at the airport.
That's the idea. Makes the whole thing less stressful, more enjoyable.
Okay, that totally reframes it. It's not just homework, it's like essential travel gear.
You could say that.
All right, so now that we've established why this is so useful, let's actually do that walkthrough. Let's go through the airport journey step by step, introducing the key English words and phrases the guide highlights, explaining them simply as we go.
Sounds good. Let's start at the very beginning. You've just arrived at the airport building, dragging your bags. What's usually the first official stop?
You need to find your airline's desk.
Right.
To check in, drop off the big bags.
Exactly. And that specific place, that desk or series of desks for your airline is called the check-in counter. Or sometimes you might hear check-in desk. Same thing.
Check-in counter. Got it.
That's where you'll have your first main interaction with the airline staff.
So I'm looking around. Maybe the signs are confusing. I need to ask someone where to go.
Perfect situation for a key phrase. You can ask an airport staff member, maybe someone at an information desk, excuse me, where is the check-in counter for airline name?
And just say my airline's name there.
Yep. Like, where is the check-in counter for British Airways?
Yeah.
Or for United Airlines? They'll understand you need their specific counter.
Okay, simple enough. So I find the right counter. I get in line. What's the first thing the person working there will likely ask me for?
Almost certainly, they'll need to see your main travel document for international flights. That's your passport.
Passport. Okay, that little book from my country.
That's the one. It proves who you are, your nationality, and allows you to travel. It's absolutely essential. So the staff member will probably say, very politely, something like, can I see your passport, please?
And I just hand it over. Easy.
Exactly.
What about my bags? We learned some words for bags earlier. What happens with them at the check-in counter?
Right. After checking your passport and maybe your ticket details, they need to deal with your luggage. Specifically, they need to know if you have those bigger bags, the ones that go down the belt and into the plane's hold, the ones you don't take onto the plane yourself.
The checked luggage.
Precisely. So they will ask you a question like, do you have any luggage to check? Or maybe, are you checking any bags today?
Okay, luggage to check or checking bags means the big ones.
Yes. And you'd answer based on what you have. Yes, I have one bag to check. Or, 2 bags, or if you only have small bags with you, you'd say, no, just hand luggage.
Ah, hand luggage. That's the other one. The smaller bag I keep with me.
That's right. Hand luggage, also very commonly called carry-on baggage or just carry-on. It means the bag or sometimes bags that you take through security and onto the plane yourself to store in the overhead bin or under the seat.
Okay, carry-on or hand luggage. Same idea.
Yes. And airlines have rules about these too, right? Size limits, weight limits, and also rules about your checked luggage. This brings us to baggage allowance.
Baggage allowance.
Yeah.
That sounds like how much bag stuff I'm allowed to bring.
Exactly. Your baggage allowance is the airline's limit, how many checked bags you can bring, how heavy they can be, and sometimes the limits for your carry-on too, usually included in the price of your ticket.
Okay, so I need to know my allowance before I pack, ideally.
Ideally, yes. Because if your checked bag weighs more than your allowance when they put it on the scale at the check-in counter,
Then I have a problem.
then they might tell you, I'm sorry, you have overweight baggage.
Overweight baggage means too heavy. Oh, dear.
And that usually means you either have to pay extra money, sometimes quite a lot, or you might have to quickly repack, take some heavy things out, and maybe put them in your carry-on if possible, or even leave them behind.
Right, so understanding baggage allowance helps you avoid the stress and cost of overweight baggage when you're at the check-in counter answering the question about luggage to check, right after showing your passport.
You got it.
Oh.
See how those terms all link together in that very first airport interaction?
Yeah, it's like a mini conversation with its own vocabulary.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say my bags are okay, not overweight. I've checked them in. I've got my boarding pass now. Where do I head next?
Your next major step is usually security, or the security checkpoint.
Security, where they scan everything.
That's the place. You'll follow signs for security. Here, officers will check you and your carry-on bags to make sure no prohibited items, nothing dangerous, are being taken onto the aircraft.
What kind of English might I hear or need at security?
It's mostly instructions. You'll need to put your carry-on bag, your coat, maybe your belt, and definitely things like laptops and large electronics into plastic bins or trays. These go through an x-ray machine.
Right.
So you might hear simple commands like, laptop out of the bag, please, or empty your pockets, take off your shoes, put everything in the tray, walk through the scanner now. It's usually very direct instructions.
Okay, follow the instructions, put stuff in trays, walk through the scanner. Got it. So I get through security. Now I'm usually in a big open area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shops, cafes, lots of gates.
Yes, that big area after security, but before you get to your specific gate, that's generally called the departure lounge.
Departure lounge. Makes sense because flights are departing from there.
Exactly. This is where you'll probably spend most of your waiting time.
And in the departure lounge, the most important thing is finding out exactly where my plane will leave from. Right.
Absolutely critical. You need to find your gate number. Or just
Gate.
Yeah.
Gate number, like gate B27 or gate 5.
precisely. Your boarding pass will have your gate number printed on it. But sometimes gates can change. So it's really important to also check the big electronic screens in the departure lounge. They list all the flights, the destinations, the times, and the confirmed gate number.
Okay, check the boarding pass, but double check the screens. Good tip.
And you might hear announcements about gates too. A common one is when they are ready for you to go there. Please proceed to gate number, like, please proceed to gate number 15.
And proceed to just means go to.
Yes, exactly. Please go to gate 15. It's just a slightly more formal way they say it at airports sometimes.
Okay, so I find my gate, but what if I check the screen and there's bad news about my flight?
Ah, yes. This is where understanding 2 other keywords is crucial. If your flight isn't leaving at the scheduled time, if it's going to be late, the screen will likely say delayed.
Delayed, meaning I have to wait longer, it's not on time.
Correct. It might say delayed by 30 minutes or just delayed with a new estimated time.
Okay. And the other word, the really bad one.
The really bad one is canceled. Or canceled. Different spelling, same meaning.
Canceled means the flight is not happening.
At
Fine.
all. Exactly. The flight will not fly. If your flight is canceled, you won't be leaving on that plane.
Oh, wow. Okay, so understanding the difference between delayed, late, and canceled, not happening, is super important when I'm waiting in the departure lounge and checking the screens for my gate number.
Absolutely vital. If it's delayed, you usually just wait, maybe grab a coffee. But if it's canceled, you need to take action.
What action?
You need to go find your airline staff, maybe back near the check-in counters, or sometimes they have a special customer service or transfer desk in the departure area, and talk to them about getting booked onto a different flight.
Right. Okay. Big difference. So hopefully my flight is on time, not delayed or canceled, I'm waiting in the departure lounge near my gate number.
Hmm.
Maybe I browse the shops.
Yeah.
You mentioned duty-free.
Ah, yes, duty-free shops. You'll see signs for these everywhere, usually after security in the international parts of airports.
And what makes them special?
Duty refers to certain taxes or fees. So duty-free means you can buy certain goods, often things like perfume, cosmetics, alcohol, tobacco, sometimes electronics or souvenirs, without paying those specific local taxes.
Yeah, it might be cheaper.
It can be cheaper, but not always. It depends on the product and where you are. But it's a very common feature of the departure lounge experience, a place to buy last-minute gifts or treats.
Okay, duty-free shops.
Yeah.
Got it. So I'm done shopping. I'm at my gate number. The flight is on time. They make an announcement. Now boarding flight.
Yes. Time to get on the plane. You'll show your boarding pass again at the gate, walk down the connecting bridge or across the tarmac, and step inside the airplane.
Okay, new environment, new vocabulary. First thing I need to do.
Find your seat. Your specific place to sit. Your boarding pass has the number and letter, like 23A or 12F.
Seat number.
Right.
And there are different types of seats, aren't there? The guide mentioned 3.
Yes. If your seat is next to the walkway, the path down the middle of the plane, that's called the aisle seat.
Aisle seat. Good, if you want to get up easily.
Exactly. If your seat is right next to the window, where you can look out, that's the window seat.
Window seat, good for the views.
Right. And if your seat is in a row of 3, and it's not by the aisle and not by the window, it's stuck in the middle.
Then it's the middle seat, the one nobody really wants.
Often, yes. So aisle seat, window seat, middle seat, simple descriptions based on location.
Okay, I found my seat. Maybe it's an aisle seat. I sit down. What's next? Usually safety stuff, right?
Yes. Before the plane even moves, you'll hear instructions. The most important piece of safety equipment right there at your seat is the seatbelt.
Seatbelt. The strap that goes across your lap.
That's the one. You'll hear the flight attendant say, or an announcement will say, "Please fasten your seatbelt." They'll show you how. You absolutely must understand and do this for takeoff, landing, and any time the fasten seatbelt sign is switched on during the flight, perhaps due to turbulence.
Okay, fasten seatbelt. Crucial. What else is right there at my seat?
In front of you, on the back of the seat ahead, you have the tray table.
Ah, the little fold-down table.
Yep. You use it for meals, drinks, maybe your book or laptop. Before takeoff and landing, they need it stowed away safely, so you'll hear, "Please put your tray table in the upright position," or "Stow your tray table."
Upright position means folded up and locked away.
Got it. Also important for safety.
Okay. Who are the people working on the plane helping us out?
The main crew members interacting with passengers in the cabin are the flight attendants. Sometimes called cabin crew, or historically stewardess or steward, but flight attendant is the standard neutral term now.
Flight attendants. And they do.
They help you find your seat, assist with luggage in the overhead bins, they do the safety demonstration, serve food and drinks, and they are there to help you with any needs or concerns during the flight. They're primarily there for safety, but also for comfort.
Okay, so if I need something, I ask a flight attendant.
Yes.
And who's actually flying the plane? Up front?
That would be the pilot, the captain. They are in the cockpit, the control room at the very front of the plane.
Pilot.
And usually, especially on larger planes, there's a second person in the cockpit working with the pilot. That's the co-pilot or first officer.
Pilot and co-pilot. Working together.
Correct. You won't usually interact with them directly, but you might hear the pilot make announcements over the speaker system during the flight, maybe about the route, the weather, or the expected arrival time.
Okay, so pilot and co-pilot fly. Flight attendants help passengers.
Got it. What about food and drink during the flight?
On many flights, especially longer ones, the airline will serve a meal.
Meal. Like breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Exactly. The flight attendants might come around with a trolley and ask you if you'd like the chicken or the pasta, for example.
Okay. And drinks.
The drinks are usually referred to as beverages.
Beverages. Bit more formal than drinks.
Yeah, it's the common airline term. They'll offer beverages like water, juice, soda, coffee, tea. The flight attendant might ask, "What beverage would you like?" or anything to drink.
Meal and beverage. Okay. And the toilet. What's the word for that on a plane? The word used on airplanes for the toilet or bathroom is lavatory.
Lavatory. Okay, good one to know.
You'll see signs on the doors or signs pointing towards the front or back of the plane indicating where the lavatories are.
Right. And what about watching movies or listening to music? How do I pass the time?
That's the in-flight entertainment system, often shortened to IFE.
In-flight entertainment.
Yes. On many planes, especially for long journeys, there's a screen on the back of the seat in front of you. You can use it to watch movies, TV shows, listen to music albums, play games. It helps make the hours fly by.
Definitely helps.
Yeah.
Okay, let's recap the plane part. I found my seat, aisle, window, or middle. I fastened my seat belt. My tray table is up for takeoff. The flight attendants are helping passengers. The pilot and co-pilot are flying. Maybe I had a meal and a beverage. I know where the lavatory is. And I used the in-flight entertainment. Phew. Sounds like a whole flight. And now we land.
Touchdown! Congratulations, you've arrived at your destination airport. But the journey isn't quite over yet.
All right, got to get out of the airport now. What's the first big step after getting off the plane, especially if I've arrived in a new country?
Your first major checkpoint inside the terminal building will be immigration.
Immigration, where they check my documents and decide if I can enter the country.
That's exactly right. You'll follow signs, usually with icons of a person looking at a passport that say immigration or sometimes passport control.
Okay, and what happens there? I talk to an officer.
Yes. You'll queue up, and when it's your turn, you'll go to a booth where an immigration officer sits. They will ask for your passport, and they will likely ask you a few standard questions.
Like what? The guide mentioned some common ones.
Yes, very common questions are, is this your first time visiting this country?
Okay, easy enough to answer yes or no.
Right. Another one is, what is the purpose of your visit?
Purpose, meaning why am I here?
Exactly. Are you here for tourism, vacation, business, study, visiting family? You should give a simple, truthful answer, like just tourism or visiting family.
Okay, purpose of visit. What else?
They almost always ask, how long will you be staying? Or how long do you plan to stay?
They want to know the length of my trip.
Yes. How many days, weeks, or months? They need to make sure your intended stay matches your visa, if you need one, or the general entry rules for your nationality. Again, a simple answer like 10 days or 2 weeks is usually fine.
First time. Purpose. How long? Got it.
All right.
What about a visa? Where does that fit in?
A visa is that special permission, maybe a sticker or stamp in your passport, that some people need to enter certain countries for specific reasons or durations.
Right, not everyone needs one for everywhere.
Correct. If you do need a visa for the country you're entering, the immigration officer will check for it in your passport when they are looking at it. They need to see you have the necessary permission. So, passport is always needed at immigration, and sometimes a visa is too.
Okay, so understanding those key questions at immigration is important. What if? What if I'm not actually staying in this country? What if I'm just changing planes here to go somewhere else?
Good question. If your journey involves stopping at an airport just to catch another flight onwards to your final destination, you are considered to be in transit.
Transit, okay.
In this case, when you get off your first plane, you usually follow different signs. They might say transit or often connections or flight connections.
Transit or connections?
Yes. And typically, if you're in transit, you don't go through the full immigration process for that country because you're not officially entering it. You'll likely go through a security check again and then find the gate for your next flight in the departure area.
Okay, so look for transit or connection signs if I'm just passing through. That's important. But assuming I'm entering the country, I've passed immigration.
Yeah.
What about my big bags? My checked luggage?
Right. Your next stop after immigration is usually the baggage claim area, or sometimes called baggage reclaim.
Baggage claim, where the suitcases come out on the belts.
Exactly. You need to look at the screens in that area. They will tell you which numbered carousel or belt your luggage from your specific flight will arrive on. Then you wait for your bags to appear and collect them.
Okay, find the right carousel, grab my bags from baggage claim. Am I free to go then?
Almost. There's usually one final checkpoint before you exit into the main public area of the airport. That's customs.
Customs, right. They're interested in what goods I'm bringing into the country.
Precisely. Depending on the country and what you're carrying, you might have needed to fill out a customs declaration form, either on the plane or online beforehand. This is a form where you list certain things you might be getting in, like large amounts of cash, certain foods, expensive gifts.
Customs declaration form. Okay.
When you walk towards the exit after picking up your bags, you'll go through the customs area. There might be different lanes, like a green channel for nothing to declare, and a red channel if you do have something to declare. Sometimes a customs officer might stop you and ask the key question, do you have anything to declare?
Meaning, do I have any of those specific things I'm supposed to tell them about?
Yes. For most tourists carrying just their personal belongings, the answer is simply no or nothing to declare. You then usually walk through the green channel, or just past the officers.
Okay. Anything to declare? Usually no. Got it. So after customs, then I'm out.
Then you walk out into the arrival hall.
The arrival hall, where friends or family might be waiting with signs or where I find taxis and buses. I made it through.
You absolutely did. And hopefully, by knowing those key English words and phrases for each step, the whole process felt a lot less daunting.
Definitely. Let's quickly recap that journey with the keywords.
Okay. We started by finding the check-in counter, showed our passport, answered about luggage to check, hoping it wasn't overweight baggage, thanks to knowing our baggage allowance, kept our hand luggage, or carry-on.
Then through security, into the departure lounge, maybe checked the duty-free, found our gate number on the screens, made sure the flight wasn't delayed or canceled.
Then, inside the airplane, found our seat, aisle, window, or middle, fastened our seatbelt, knew about the tray table, the flight attendants, the pilot and co-pilot, maybe had a meal and a beverage, knew where the lavatory was, and enjoyed the in-flight entertainment.
Landed. Went to immigration, unless in transit or looking for connections, answered questions about first visit, purpose, stay duration, showed our passport, and maybe visa.
Then collected bags at baggage claim, went through customs, answered no to anything to declare, hopefully, having filled out a customs declaration if needed.
And finally, walked out into the arrival hall.
Wow. See, when you lay it out like that, each word and phrase has its place in the journey.
It really does. It's not just random vocabulary. It's the language of the airport process.
Yeah.
Knowing them really is like having a map, not just for the building, but for the interactions, too.
Exactly. The words are the bricks, the phrases are small walls, and together they help you understand and navigate the whole structure of the airport experience. When you know what a passport is, and you hear, "Can I see your passport, please?" the whole request makes perfect sense. No confusion.
This deep dive, using the guide as our source, has hopefully painted a much clearer picture for you, our listeners, of the essential English needed for airports. We've really tried to walk through it slowly, step by step.
Highlighting those key terms for bags, places, people, flights, documents, the plane itself, plus those common phrases you're likely to hear or need to use.
We talked about why it's also helpful for basic communication, yes, but also for enjoying your trip more, staying safer, and being able to handle any little bumps in the road.
Remember, you really don't need to be fluent. Focusing on just these core airport words and phrases can make a huge difference to your confidence levels.
Maybe just pick a few from our chat today that seem most relevant for your next trip. Practice saying them. Think about when you'd use them.
And here's something to think about next time you are in an airport. Look around. You'll see these words everywhere on signs. Gate, departures, arrivals, baggage claim, toilets, information, exit. Knowing the words helps you understand the signs instantly, but also seeing the signs reinforces the words. It's a learning cycle. So the provocative thought is, what other signs do you see? Maybe ones with pictures or symbols next to the words. Can you start to guess what they mean just from the context now that you have these building blocks?
That's a great way to think about it. The airport itself becomes your practice ground.
It really can. It's not just about talking. It's about reading and understanding the environment around you as you travel.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Essential Airport English.
Hope it was helpful. Travel safely.